One thing I must tell you, Praveen, one mistake that I have done, though I was
Okay.
financially fiercely independent, mistake I did was I saved for my children. I sacrificed everything for them and for the welfare of the family, but never ever planned for a retirement. It doesn't mean that I am having any issue, but I'm saying that's a lesson I have learned.
Financially speaking, conversations powered by India First Life. Children often imbibe lessons simply by observing how their parents, especially mothers, manage household finances. It is the most powerful factor on a child's view of money and the development of spending and saving habits. For a mother herself, her views on money are shaped by lessons she learned as a child, isn't it? Today, we endeavor to delve into these stories to understand how women across generations view financial freedom and the lessons or advice they would like to give their kids. It's an honor and privilege for me to have three guests today with us uh, who are very, very successful and independent women. But that's not all the commonality between them. They are also mothers, some new to the journey, and some who have been living the experience for quite some time. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Vijayam Ravi, Miss
Namaste.
Nisreen Mamaji, and Miss Chandni Tolani Advani to our
Hi.
podcast, Financially Speaking, Conversations Powered by India First Life.
Great.
If I were to introduce Dr. Vijayam Ravi, I will start off with Dr. Vijayam Ravi. I would go about in introducing her as being a part of the changing educational landscape for more than 40 years. Dr. Vijayam Ravi has been an educationist, administrator, principal, trustee, director of education, and is currently the chairman and managing director of a consulting firm. In addition to her professional biodata, she is also mother of three daughters who themselves are mothers today. She is also an extremely happy grandmother of five kids. It's my honor, Dr. Vijayam Ravi, to have you here.
Namaste.
My second guest is Ms. Chandni Tolani Advani. Now, Chandni is the founder of digital consultancy called Boomerang Media and is working with some of the leading brands in India and overseas. She recently launched her label of luxury fashion jewelry called Markais Jewels and is also a travel and lifestyle influencer. She has recently embraced motherhood, which is less than a month ago, and is juggling her many roles with passion and commitment. It's my privilege to host you, Miss Chandini. Our third guest is Miss Nisreen Mamaji. Nisreen has been in the field of financial planning and mutual fund distribution since 1993 when she started her career with American International Group in Dubai. She is the CEO of MoneyWorks, which is a financial planning service. She is also the mother of a son and a daughter. It's my honor and privilege, Nisreen, to host you here. So my first question to Dr. Vijay would be, I would like you to go back in time, maybe to your childhood, and like for you to particularly share a turning point, an event in your life that shaped your relationship with money. Is there something that you would like to share, Dr. Vijay?
My father, very proudly, I realized and recognized that he was an agriculturist, a farmer.
Okay.
So my mother used to take care of those cows very well. And I have seen her, the extra milk and butter and buttermilk, etc. She used to give it to people, sell it to people who really need it. So they used to come home, and my mother used to sell these things. And there was some small brass glass. So she used to put all those things, and one glass of milk was only 20 pice, and the butter was about 1 rupee or something like that. She used to keep everything like that. And she used to keep it very stealthily in some place where nobody sees it.
How sweet.
Especially my father shouldn't see it.
All right.
And we have, as children, We have seen it. And my father sometimes runs short of money. So he used to ask my mother very reluctantly. She used to share those things with him. So the great thing of saving, I have seen it and learned from my mother. The most important lesson that I learned from my parents was that you have to spend if you have a need, not want.
Wonderful, Dr. Vijayam. We share the same hometown. Of course, I'm a Mumbaiker, but still,
Okay.
I exactly understood what you said. I also, liked the thought that you had, that balance between spending as well as saving. From Dr. Vijayam, I'll move on to Nisreen. Nisreen, any views from your side as well?
So, when you asked me to look back and remember what was my first association with money, the incident that comes to my mind is that when I was about 7 years old, I was entrusted with the important task of managing the Christmas Christmas party celebrations for all the children in my building. Okay, and this was
Okay.
around the mid 70s, and the what we could afford at that time was about 2 rupees 50 paisa per child, and I
Okay.
had to get them wafers. I had to get them some amount of games. I had to also get some cold drink. So the entire menu was planned by me. The entire budgeting exercise was planned by me, with of course assistance from my mom, where we sold the tickets to each of the children. We collected the money. We decided what the menu was going to be and what games were going to be played and what prizes were to be given out. So what I really learned is, besides event management, the important thing that I learned was a whole budgetary exercise and also goal planning. That if you want to do something, you shouldn't say that I can't afford it or I don't want to do it because I have short of funds, but how to work slowly and gradually towards the goal so that you achieve that. And if you don't achieve that, then you achieve some modicum of that.
I'm very intrigued actually to know at an early age. I mean, the responsibility of making sure that you collect money, properly, spend, make sure that, everything is, proper.
Yeah.
How did somebody actually figure out that expertise and skill set in you?
No, I didn't have it then, let me tell you. And my friends were definitely taking a chance because we were all in the 5 to 10 year age group, and my brother was a little older. So, I mean, I think he said, you're bound to fail and you're not going to you carry this off. But my mom insisted that no, she can do it and let's give it a try. And my building friends were, of course, very optimistic that I was going to do it. And they all gave me that 2 rupees 50 paisa and they said, let's do it.
So
Yes.
fantastic, views from your side, Nisreen.
Thank
Moving
you.
from you to Chandni. Chandni, I would like to hear your thoughts also on that.
Yeah, sure. So for me, let me start by saying I belong to a Sindhi family. So we are from birth, we are told that money is very important, money has to be saved. Like even if we are buying something, we were told if you're buying movie tickets, we were told that oh hamare zamane mein, tickets were for 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and look at you guys spending 150 bucks on a ticket. So we were always somehow made to feel guilty about it that we're spending money. But also at the same time, my father had this 60-40 rule that he bombarded in my brain from the time he started giving me pocket money, which was like, if you want to spend, you spend 60% of your savings and 40% you put it in your, piggy bank, or you put it in your, if you have a bank account, obviously you put it in your bank and you save that money. And then whenever you want to buy something, you use that money to buy something, because with little money you will not be able to gain anything, and when you keep collecting you will be with a big amount you'll be able to buy whatever you need. But today I feel happy about it because when I have my own family, when I have my own savings, I know the importance and the value, and the things that he used to say now they come to me, and I feel like I'm so glad he did that. He told me those things that time and he tried to like force them upon me, because today I know the value of it. Today I feel like I should save 40% and spend 60%.
Fantastic, Chandni. At an early age, you have been institutionalized, right, to have
Totally.
this thought of saving money, right?
Totally, totally.
In fact, my father often used to tell me that Praveen, saving is an art, spending is not.
Yeah.
And so this is the statement that he actually had used, and it still is registered in my mind, although I may not be exactly following it. But at an early age of in my life as well, this is something which even my parents have told me.
Absolutely. And now we follow the 50-30-20 rule. Since you mentioned 60-40, I thought I'd just share that with you. So 50 is for fixed expenses, 30 is for your savings and investments, and 20% is for your variable expenses.
Okay.
So, which is like your recreation and your movies and your restaurants, and fixed expenses are your monthly maintenance or rent, food, salaries, school fees,
Right.
those sort of salaries for your staff. So that's your fixed. So now, in the common parlance, since you mentioned a percentage and a ratio, I thought I'd just share this with you.
I think
But
I'm going to
it's really
switch to
nice.
that now. Yeah.
Yeah, so 50-30-20, it's simple, it's something that we can follow. And if you
Right.
keep on, managing that 20%, you'll end up saving more.
So, Praveen,
Yeah.
saving could be an art. Spending is a science.
Right, absolutely.
Spending
Absolutely.
is like therapy, but
Exactly.
like you spend and you feel better about it unless you reach the end of the month and realize there's nothing left in your bank account.
Exactly.
So my
Yeah.
second question to you now, Chandni, again, is
Yeah.
that you and your parents are from different generations. So in
Right.
your opinion, what's your view on, is your view on money very different from your parents? Of course,
Uh,
you just told us that you learned the art of, let's assume, saving from your parents.
right.
And so is overall view from your side very different from what your parents' view were?
It's not completely different, to be very honest. It's quite on the same lines. The only difference I feel in my parents' view and in mine is that they were always saving for a rainy day. And I feel like you should live in the present as well and not think so much also about the future that you don't enjoy your present. Yeah.
Dr. Vijayam, any views from your side on this?
I would say they were also earning. My father was making a lot of money from the products which he got from his agriculture. But what he used to do is that he used to reinvest it in land.
Okay.
There was no concept of putting money in FDs or mutual funds and things like that those days. So the best thing was to put it into land. So those times I felt money, the pinch of money, but the decision was on us. And so that pinch of money was always there. But now, later part of my life, when I moved to Bombay and when I started earning money like nobody's business, I realized that money doesn't carry anything that way. We had, when we wanted it, it did not come to us so easily. When it comes to us, it's okay.
And I guess you wanted your daughters also to be independent, and that's where I
Yes,
think the entire journey started of saving for them, right?
exactly.
Nisreen, anything from your side on this? How different are you from, let's assume, your parents?
Uh, So basically, since my parents belonging, to the pre-independence era, they were also very conscious of savings because during that time, I mean, it was a very difficult time during the independence, and the only thing that they had was their own guts and their own spirit of enterprise. Since both my parents belonging to business families, so one thing that I learned that I think now looking back, I think that they were too cautious, that their savings were they could have lived more in the moment. They love traveling. I also feel that I should be able to spend more of what I earned during my lifetime, because I don't want to land up in my 70s or 80s and look back with any sense of regret that
Right.
I could have done this when I was younger, but now I'm too old, I'm sitting in my rocking chair, and now I have the money but I don't have the health,
Right.
to be able to do some of the things that I want to do. So that's something that I'm consciously trying to be different from my parents. Now I feel that when my children have started earning, they are much easier with spending immediately than I was. So I do tell them, and I try to inculcate the saving habit right from their first paycheck, because it's important to save for your retirement actually with your first paycheck, because it's a
Right.
smaller amount. The power of compounding works for you,
Right.
so that you put away a small amount, but then you let the money work for you, so that when you retire, you still have that sizable nest egg.
Right. So the legacy of financial management and prudence is actually passed on to your children.
Yes, it's very important to be prudent. Yeah.
All right. Dr. Vijayam, your children, are they different from you?
Uh, they are, but when they were all with me, there were certain lessons that we had not taught like that, but we have made it as a practice on ourselves so that they looked at us and learned it. Like, for example, when we moved to Bombay from Coimbatore,
Okay.
uh, I had all the luxuries in life, a chauffeur driven car, and my daughters were all into college.
Okay.
So they could very easily, I could afford to send them to sign by car and driver and all those things. But I told them no. But one thing I must tell you, Praveen, one mistake that I have done, though I was
Okay.
financially fiercely independent, mistake I did was I saved for my children. I sacrificed everything for them and for the welfare of the family, but never ever planned for a retirement.
Right.
So that pinches. That pinches. So my advice to all the people of yesteryears, all the mothers, is that while you are spending for your children, while you are spending for your family, remember that there will be a time when you also need some help. That kind of a thought I should have done. I have never done that.
Yeah, you believed in your children observing you and rather than telling them
Yes.
and preach or practice what you preach and that legacy they are carrying forward. So thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Vijayam, for sharing that thoughts.
Thank you.
Chandni, new baby, when she grows up, do you think that she'll be very different from you?
I'm just learning so much from Nisreen and ma'am that how they're handling their children so beautifully, and they've given them so much independence financially. So I think I'm just going to try to learn as much from people who are senior to me, and try to imbibe those values in my daughter as well. But yes, like for me and my husband, we've both been financially independent from a very young age. From like 15 years of age, we both started working, and we sort of started taking care of our own expenses little by little, at least. And I will hope that that is something that I can teach my child as well, to be financially independent and take care of your own expenses.
Fantastic. Has motherhood changed you, Chandni? I mean, of course, it's
Oh
too short a
yes.
period. And
No, it
how?
has. It's
Okay,
fully
how?
changed me. I was like a lazy person who woke up at like 9 o'clock, and now I'm like not sleeping the night, and still I'm up at 6 a.m. So it has completely. I was scared of injections. When I used to go for my checkup, I used to tell the doctor, please, when you poke the injection, please be gentle. And giving birth has just made me feel like I have some superpowers. How did I manage to do this? So it has really changed me. Everyone around me is also like looking at me differently now. They're like, what, you've really changed as a person. You've changed in terms of discipline. Like I we had no help when my daughter was born, unfortunately, with the whole COVID scenario and all that. I'm sure like all our elders always tell us that we managed everything on our own. But in our generation, we are not used to doing that. All our lives we've always been pampered, and we've had help, and it's always been that we're falling back upon someone at all times.
Fantastic, Chandni. I'll just share, my experience of becoming a father. I have a teenage son. So I didn't know how these 13 years have gone by. Frankly speaking, one of the issues that I always had to grapple with is that the PTA used to be kept on a Wednesday or a Thursday, prime time of the office hours, maybe at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I often used to tell my wife that I can't, I have to attend the meeting, I have to go to the office, etc. So she used to work, of course, and she used to tell me saying that, so what am I supposed to do? And I used to tell her, okay, you also don't attend. What can I do? But end of the day, the motherly instincts in her used to come to the fore and she used to go and attend it.
Okay.
And these days, of course, fathers also contribute, as you rightly mentioned, all of you have heard. And, there she would come back and say that, see, all the father and mother, both of them were there. And here only mother is representing the child. Where is the father? Nobody knows. So from there, the journey has started. And now is that some point in time, one of a very senior friend of mine, an old gentleman, of course, he had told me that by the time you realize that your father was right, your son will start telling you that you are wrong.
Wrong.
And I'm actually facing that right now. As we speak, my son often tells me that, Dad, you are wrong. And, he may have his explanation, but, that's what is happening currently.
But it's funny that you say that. I think I also agree with you. I look back very often and I used to argue with my mom and tell her, you didn't do this right and you didn't do this right. And then I felt my daughter tells me that now. So I feel that, the chain is continued, the circle continues. And so now when I have to speak to my mom, I make sure that I say the right things because I want to ensure that she tells me the right things later on. So,
Absolutely.
Great.
Dr. Vijayam, I have a question for you. Like, how did you manage to strike a balance between your role as a mother and all the other roles that you've been handling all this while? I mean, how did you manage? And Nisreen mentioned a few things, but I would like to hear from you that the balancing role. How were you able to manage it?
First and foremost, I do not think that it is a balance between career life and family life.
Okay.
I would personally use it as integration of family life with career life.
All right. So my question to you, Chandni, is that, of course, you would have heard from Nisreen, you would have heard from Dr. Vijayam in terms of how you're going to save for your child. In your mind, do you categorize, savings when it, like an equity basket, a debt basket, a fixed income basket, etc.? Do you do that, or is that something which you wish to do?
That is something that I do, and also like I believe that you should have a safe savings and a sort of unsafe or something that you can like a share market. If you want to invest in the shares and stuff, you should have two different accounts for both, because one should be your safe savings, like your fixed deposits and your recurring deposits, where your money is safe and it's going to be safe there. And then the other can be your share market, your properties and stuff, where you invest and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Obviously, you should study the market before you do that, because it's so important to have different things. I also believe that health insurance, life insurance are one of the most important things that you should invest in. Different savings for different accounts, and plan your finances in a way that you don't put everything in one place. If the market crashes, then you're like gone. Policies coming out every day, so so I think you should explore everything, read about it thoroughly, and then choose what is best for you.
Also add on to what Chandni said, because a lot of people have, say, a 5 lakh floater for four members of the family, but we forget about the health cover inflation, and we forget about what it actually will cost you if you get admitted today, if you're living in an urban Indian city, and for various kind of illnesses, what is the cost today. So I think it's very important to regularly review even the health cover that you have, and make sure that you're keeping up with the times in terms of costs.
Yeah.
Similar to life insurance also, if you have a small cover that normally our parents will start with, say, a life insurance policy, and from your insurance. So first you deal with your health insurance and your life insurance, which could possibly be a term cover or a ULIP, which will give you a combination of investment and insurance. But after you get married, have children, have responsibilities, your cover also has to keep pace with your additional responsibilities, because basically it's for the breadwinner of the family. If that person is not there, they have something called a human life value, which is attached to that person. And so the insurance policy is supposed to compensate your family for the income that you would have brought them for the next 15 to 20 years. So, of course, the asset allocation is extremely crucial. You should have a bit of commodity, you should have a bit of real estate, and you should also have your financial assets, so that all the different kind of products that are part of your investment bucket will make sure that you retire, in the same way that you're used to living, prior to retirement.
Fantastic, Nisreen. When it comes from the expert, it is fantastic to hear. And when it comes to life insurance, it is always India First Life Insurance. Sure. So Chandni, because I have to ask this question. Okay, what are the various investments that you're going to do for your child based on the milestones?
Right. So the very first thing when my daughter was born, my husband did was call our health insurance investor and tell him to add her to our health policy, because I feel like
Okay.
health insurance is extremely important. Other than that,
Okay.
obviously saving up for her education, because that is a priority. She has to educate herself well, and for her future education as well, like for university and all, which we all know is so expensive in today's day and age. So that is something that we are obviously planning to invest and have a account for that. And other than that, obviously your life insurance, like I mentioned earlier as well, we need to have a life insurance in place for her. I don't believe in having a saving for marriage and a marriage account, because I did not depend on my parents to get me married. I told them I will not take a penny from them for my wedding, and I made sure I got married when I had enough money to do so.
Sure.
So I don't think that is something that I would want to do for my child as well. I would want her to be independent, and that should be something that, the scale that she wants to do it. If it's a court marriage or a big, huge marriage, then she should be able to do it herself. Obviously, at every stage, we want to support her and support her and make her financially independent. So we will try to do that the best way we can by ensuring that we have enough savings for every milestone in her life.
So as a concluding statement, Dr. Vijayam, would you like to share a message with all the mothers who are hearing this podcast?
Yes, I can tell them, with my experience. And there is a lot of difference between womanhood and motherhood. Okay, that is the first thing they have to remember. Whether you are a working woman or not a working woman, your contribution cannot be, I underline, be measured in terms of you have done this, I have done this. This is done by me, this is done me. No, not at all. The love of the mother has never been defeated, proven to be defeated. So continue, never give up, never ever give up. This is your life, and there is no one like you. You are very, very unique, great, and happy Mother's Day to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijayam. There's nobody like you. You are very unique. Fantastic statement. Nisreen, from your side, any concluding message for other mothers?
Definitely. So what I would like to say is that, don't forget about yourself in the financial journey that you are embarking on. Always manage to set aside something for your children, of course, because as all mothers, even if your better half is providing for the children, you also as a mother want to set aside something from your own income if you are a working person, and if you're not a working person, from the savings of your monthly budget. But while you're doing that for the others in the family, don't forget, that you need to also save something for yourself. A very happy Mother's Day.
Fantastic, Nisreen. Start saving early and do it well. So indeed, it was a privilege for me to host Dr. Vijayam, Nisreen, and Chandni. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being a part of this podcast. Your stories will definitely find resonance with other mothers out there on how to ensure financial discipline with their kids and how to plan better for their certainties of life. So here's to the mothers who are multifaceted and extremely talented. We at India First Life wish you all a very happy Mother's Day. Stay financially secure and tell us your thoughts for today's episode. Stay tuned for the next. Thank you so much.